Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. I want to say a special thank you to Kristen and Amy who are on helping me if I encounter any technical difficulties. And Kathy is on too, so if I encounter any horticultural difficulties, she's here to back me up. So welcome to everybody. This is week 5 of You and I Together. And today we're going to do salad bowl gardening. So University of Idaho is practical education you can trust. We bring the knowledge and resources of the university to you, where you live when it's convenient to you. And hopefully this time is convenient for you. I'm really glad to see some folks on. These are some of the different program areas that we work in. Today, we're going to focus on horticulture and very, very small farms. So we're going to start with a poll, correct? Okay, and actually I'm going to stop my screen share because I'm not sure I optimized for sound. So we go ahead and do the poll while I fix this issue real quick. So I want to make sure that when I play the video, it's going to show up for you guys.
And as you answer the poll questions, make sure that you scroll down because there are 4 questions, not just the one that automatically pops up at the top.
Now we're starting. Okay. This computer is being funny, but I'm just about there.
University of Idaho Extension is growing Idaho's economy by improving sustainable food production systems while supporting ranchers and farmers.
Come on.
From livestock and forages to pest and disease management, variety development, small farms and food systems, and farm and ranch management, UI Extension is helping to build a better future.
All right, excellent. Should we share the results of the poll? Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Are we done with the poll? Okay, we'll move on then. Sorry, I haven't done one of these in a couple years, so thank you all for being patient with me. My name is Ariel Agenbrod. I am an extension professor at U of I. I've been here for about 15 years. During that time, I would say that my program purpose is helping people grow and become more self-sufficient. So whether it's through a home garden, a community garden, a small farm, I am really dedicated to helping people know what they need to know and to help solve problems and be more successful. I'm really into growing your own food at home and supporting local food. And so today is all about how to get started on a very, very small farm right in your own office, kitchen, or patio. So today is about planting your salad and eating it too. So salad bowl gardening is a really easy way to get started in edible gardening. It takes very little space, very little know-how. Just about everybody can do it. And there's lots of different ways that you can make it happen for you. You don't even need to have a garden to give it a try. We're going to show you some of the basics and what you need to get started. However, because we are growing plants and plants are living things, there are a few basics that can really help you succeed. And these mostly have to do with how we're preparing our plants or seeds and the care that we're giving them after we start our salad bowl garden. So if you got the handout prior to class, and if you didn't, we can send that to you. We can get you that link. Make sure you have that information. There's a handout that goes along with today that has the supplies and a few instructions, and then it also goes over some recipes for what to do later. So what you need today, at least to get started, is you need some kind of food safe container or pot or bowl. Now, it doesn't have to be really for planting. It doesn't have to be a flower pot like this. but it does need to have drainage holes on the bottom. So even though this is a flower pot, it doesn't have drainage holes in the bottom. So I'll want to take a screwdriver or something safely and poke some drainage holes in the bottom. That's very important so that our plants don't get flooded and rot out. I recommend about 12 inches across so that you can get a few plants in there. This guy is a little bit bigger than that, maybe about a 14-inch diameter pot. And the supplies and things that I found today are easily found at dollar stores, discount stores, thrift stores, or even just looking around the house. Sometimes you can find what you need. We've also got some potting mix. So just a general all-purpose potting mix. And I used today a little bit of worm compost along with my potting mix just to add a little bit more nutrient into the soil. But you certainly don't have to do it that way. You can use potting soil. I wouldn't use garden soil from outside because it tends to be too heavy and dense. And if you're growing it indoors, you might be bringing some extra friends in from the garden that you don't want in your house, different worms or roly-polies or things like that. But if you're okay with that, it's your choice. And then we want to have some seeds or plants, and I'll show you what we've got today. I'm going to show you with both. The seeds can be really any kind of plant that you might enjoy in a salad. It can be lettuces, it can be cabbages and kales, little broccolis, arugula, mustard greens. It can also be herbs, things like basil and dill, cilantro, grow well in containers and can add a fun pop to a salad. And then you might want to do microgreens. So you could grow radishes and harvest them when they're very, very small, or let them grow and harvest them from the soil if you like radishes in your soil. This really isn't a good idea for bigger things like most of your tomatoes, cucumbers, etc. They need a lot longer time to grow. They need more room and they need more sunlight. So we're really looking at salad plants and greens to get us started on this project. So in your handout, I did give some general guidelines as to how many plants you could fit in a pot of different sizes and about how much potting mix you should plan to have. So you can refer back to this handout. It kind of gives you some ideas. Like I said, we are going in a 14-inch pot about. It holds, I would say this one is a little bit different. It maybe holds 2 gallons of potting mix. And I could put a tomato in there, but then I would only have 1 tomato. So, and I told you that tomatoes aren't the best for growing indoors, but there's just some guidelines in general. These are about how many plants you could fit and how much potting mix you would want. So let's actually give it a try and do it hands-on. So I'm going to change my camera really quick to my other camera so that you can watch me doing it. Oh, I think it works. Okay. And I am going to put on some gloves because my hands are a little bit sensitive to the materials in potting soil. Okay. All right, so you can see here, hopefully you can see my camera. I could stop my screen so that you see this better. Let's do this really quick. I'll come back to the presentation, okay? I've got all my supplies out here. I've got my pots, my container, right? I've got some seeds and plants. I've got my trowel, etc. I wanted to show you some of the seeds that you might use. And again, these are bargain store, dollar store seeds. They're still packaged for this year, so they're fresh. They'll grow just fine. I've got some different kinds of radishes. I've got kale and lettuce, Swiss chard. Look at that rainbow Swiss chard. That is absolutely beautiful. Some spinach. Again, looking at the Swiss chard, the kale, the spinach, these are going to be really nutrient dense, healthy greens for your salad. Something else, I talked about the herbs, right? Basil or parsley could be a delicious addition. And then something that a lot of people don't eat fresh, but that can be, are the pea shoots. So you could plant pea seeds in your salad bowl garden and just eat the shoots when they're maybe 2 to 3 to 6 inches tall. Clip them off and add them to your salad. It makes a delicious sugar snap pea flavor into your salad. So we are going to use plants today just because it's a little bit more visual and fun to watch, right? But seeds, oh, and then also on your seed packet is going to be information about how deep to plant these seeds and how far to space them apart. Okay, so I have some beautiful little seedlings here. This tends to get out of focus. I have some lettuces, some spinach, dark leafy romaines with good color. And then I have some chives just to give a little bit of that oniony flavor in there. Okay, so we want to put potting mix in our pots and we want to have it slightly moist. Now, because this is the magic of video television, I have already done that for us because I wanted to save time today. So here's my pot. It's full of my potting mix and I've wetted it so that it's nice and damp, but not soggy. Okay, now you can use your fingers for this or you can use your trowel. And I think that I can probably get 3 to 4 little plants in here and have them have enough room. Now, as they grow, they are going to eventually outgrow this container. Then you might want to transplant them into the garden or just eat them all and start over again. Okay, so I'm going to start by just digging a hole. Okay, and again, I end up using my hands most of the time for gardening, but you can use a tool. And I'm going to pick one of these beautiful dark lettuces. This is called Outrageous, and that is pretty outrageous. It is a romaine. You rarely see red romaine in the market, right? All right, so I'm going to gently ease it out of its container. I'm going to try not to mess with the root system very much and try to get my camera to come back in focus. And I'm going to plant it at the same level where it was growing in its container. Okay, so I'm going to tuck it in there. There we go. We're back in focus now. Okay, you see, I didn't fill my pot all the way to the brim with soil. And that's so that when I water, there's room for the water to be, and this is not going to spill over. Okay, that lettuce is pretty big. So I think I'm only going to put 3 plants in this container today. I'm also going to do a really nice let's see, here's a little kale. This is a dinosaur kale. It has thin, narrow leaves, very, very good. If you like that soup, that Tuscan soup from Olive Garden, that's the kind of kale that's generally in that. Okay, and I'm going to tuck that little one in there. Again, giving it about 3 inches from the lettuce. This is a little closer spacing than you might have in your garden, but that's going to give everything, it's going to get really full and beautiful. Okay, for my third plant in here, I think I'm going to plant a little spinach. Look at that cute little spinach seedling. Again, I'm going to squeeze the bottom of the pot, ease him out without disturbing the roots too much. Okay, and put that guy there. Give you a little bit better view. And tuck that all in there. All right, so there I've got my kale, my romaine lettuce, and my little spinach. And those are going to be beautiful. I'm going to water them a little bit more. And then I'll switch back to the slides to tell you how to care for them. Okay. All right, we're going to switch back. Any questions so far? All right. Oh, and I wanted to say thank you so much to Sherilyn King for being here and interpreting in American Sign Language our presentation today. I can't even imagine how she's able to do that so fast. So thank you so much. Okay. We're going to go back to the slides really quick. Just got a few more things to talk about. All right, you can see that. All right, so we planted our salad bowl. Perfect. So a few tips for success. You want to keep that soil damp, but not soaking wet. If you're growing it indoors, you want to keep it near a bright window, or you might want to use some additional fluorescent or LED lights to give those plants the spectrum of light they need to grow. Now, because we're not growing a fruiting or flowering plant, we're just growing leafy greens, they need less light to grow and develop than if we were trying to get them to put on tomatoes or something like that. If you are growing in the house, and I told you to make those drainage holes, you want to make sure you put some kind of dish or tray underneath your garden so that you can protect your furniture. And then when you're ready to harvest, you can either harvest by hand or with a clean, sharp pair of scissors. Just a few tips for food safety and quality, right? Wash your hands before you harvest your plant. And if you're using a harvest tool like a pair of scissors or pruners, wash those and maybe sanitize them with a little alcohol or bleach solution. just so that we're not transferring anything from that salad green to our mouths. We want to gently rinse your greens and either pat them dry with a clean towel, or you can use a salad spinner. It's really best if you eat them right away, or if you have to store them for any amount of time, put them in the refrigerator. And you can start harvesting pretty much right away, but just remember that anything you harvest has to grow back. So you've got to give it time to recover from eating your salad. And then we'll close out with talking about our salad dressing ideas. Okay, so this is a basic vinaigrette in a jar, and we're not going to do this all together because we don't really have enough time, and I do want to have some question and answer if we have any. But it's very simple. So we start with this basic recipe. You need some kind of jar with a tight fitting lid. You can just whisk this in a bowl too if you want. So start out with 3 tablespoons of some kind of oil. We suggest extra virgin olive oil, but certainly any vegetable oil would work. 2 tablespoons of an acid, so a vinegar or lemon juice, and you can try any kind of combination of vinegars and see what you like. They all add a different kind of flavor and sensation. So red or white vinegar, cider vinegar, balsamic, or like I said, lemon or even lime juice if you're making kind of a salsa salad. Salt and black pepper to taste. And then you can add any kind of fresh or dried herbs or garlic if you'd like. Some ideas might be tarragon or basil, an Italian blend, things like that. Lemon pepper could also be really good. So you take all those ingredients and you shake them up in your jar or whisk them in a bowl, and then let it stand for about 10 minutes if you're using dried herbs, so that those herbs can rehydrate a little bit and blend in that flavor. Then shake it again and dress your salad as you'd like. And there are lots of different ways to change this up, both by the herbs that you add, the vinegar that you use, or you could even make it a creamy variation, adding 2 to 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise, sour cream. You can get light sour cream, or even 2 to 3 tablespoons of plain yogurt or Greek yogurt. And that can be a great change if you like a more creamy dressing. And so this recipe again is on the handout that went with today's presentation. And I'm just gonna, okay, so before I move on, I'm just gonna stop and double check the chat and see if there's any questions that I need to answer. Okay, let's see. Excited to try this at your house. Yes, I know when I saw where some of you were coming in from, I was like, oh, it's definitely not spring yet where you are. We just today, it kind of feels like spring here in Boise, but we've been having unseasonably cold weather. So the handouts, we can get those handouts to you, I believe. They might have come to you if you pre-registered, but certainly now that you are in the Zoom, we have your information. We'll send up a follow-up with possibly the recording and the handout, I'm thinking. Okay. So like I said, I'm not going to make the dressing here, but you get the idea, right? Pour, shake, mix, serve, right? And have fun with those variations and kind of make a dressing. You might make your own signature dressing and be like, this is my dressing. It's made just the way I like it. And it goes really well with the greens that I grew. Okay, so I am going to show you a completed garden again. Okay, so this is one that I planted a little bit earlier. Okay, yeah, there you go. You can see this one, the plants were a little smaller. So I got 4 plants in there, a kale, a spinach, a lettuce, and some onion chives. Really, really fun little way to start a garden. You can grow it inside, then you can move it out into the out of doors as it gets a little bit warmer. Most of these plants, actually all of these plants, would withstand a freeze or a frost. They're very hardy. But you do want to take care because they are still really young and delicate, and they've been growing in the greenhouse, and they're not really used to being outside yet. If you were starting seeds, you could start those seeds in the pot and put the pot directly outside, and the seeds will come up when they feel that it's ready. But you will get a jump start by doing it in the house. Okay, I might have gone a little too fast. I was worried about not having enough time, so we can always have some questions. I wanted to thank
you have a question in the chat.
What do you do? Okay, let's go to that one. Wonderful. Okay, so I'll pause here and we can do some questions. Okay, so what are some ways that those of us who do not have a green thumb can avoid planting too many plants in our containers? You know what? I am guilty of this too myself, and also in my garden. I would say just, for design purposes, working in 3s or 5s tends to be the most visually pleasing. So like the little garden that we started with, you can kind of see how these are spaced out, right? There we go. I wouldn't put more than 3, 4 at the most in this container, just so that they have room to grow. I mean, if you want to be really honest, one lettuce plant probably would fill this whole container, but it wouldn't look as cute and it wouldn't be the salad bowl. It would just be one big lettuce in a pot. But that's probably how much room this lettuce would need in a garden situation. So you're going to learn by trial and error. You put a bunch of plants in, and if they don't grow very big and they're all crowded together, you realize you planted. So I would start by maybe just put 3 in there, let them fill the space, and start that way. But use restraint. Just get more pots, right? I've got 3 sitting here. I'm probably going to plant all of them with these little guys and put them around in the office and give everybody a salad bowl. Any other questions? And these could be questions related to, starting these things outside too, if you really were interested.
Do you have any particular plants that you wouldn't recommend? I know you mentioned a few, but are there any others that just haven't maybe done as well when you've tried this method?
Sure. Yeah, so for the salad bowls, especially if they're going to be indoors, I wouldn't grow anything that puts on a harvestable fruit that you want to harvest, because we just don't have the light indoors to really get that going. And I would say, maybe something like a broccoli or a cabbage, unless you're eating the very small leaves, you're probably not going to want to wait the 60 to 80 days for that to mature and put on that full that full vegetable. But anything that you're going to harvest the leaves and eat would be great in the salad bowl garden, because you can keep harvesting while it's growing. You're not waiting for it to fully mature. And then also, I wouldn't put in anything that you don't like to eat, right? You want this to be something that you will enjoy. So even though we tell you to eat kale, if you hate kale, don't put it in your salad bowl garden. But I will tell you that there are many different kinds of kales, and you might find one that you really like.